riding high off of what happened yesterday between the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames. No, we're not riding high off of Jonathan Huberdeau getting hurt. Stop that, folks. Stop it. But instead, we're riding high on the Vancouver Canucks' dominance and how good some of their players ended up looking. Yes, it's the preseason, and yes, the game doesn't count, but both rosters were relatively skilled, I would say, with a decent amount of depth each. Sure, missing some key guys here and there. No Evander Kane for the Vancouver Canucks. No Dustin Wolf for the Calgary Flames. But the Vancouver Canucks absolutely stomped Calgary, and just the amount of points that some of these Canucks were able to get, they're pretty great, I'd say. ELIAS Pettersson and Brock Boeser each had themselves 2 points on the night, with a goal and an assist. Not to mention Arshdeep Bains, who had 2 assists, Garland, who had 2 assists, Max Sasson, who had 2 goals, and then on D, Quinn Hughes, who had himself a goal and 2 assists for 3 total points. It was a point-scoring festival for the Vancouver Canucks, as they ultimately took things up 8-1. But I wanted to refer to a different clip here. This was posted by the Schaefer and Price podcast. It's an episode from a few days ago, September 30th, that has Darren Dreger on as a guest. And I loved what it was that Dreger had to say about Adam Foote's commentary on Boeser and Pettersson. I'm going to leave a link in the description if you want to watch the video yourself, but I used the AI machine to transcribe what it was that Darren Dreger spoke about on this Schaefer and Price podcast. Let's go out there and read this here. Dreg says here that Brock Boeser is curious. I think we're all surprised that, him circling back to the Canucks and getting the deal that he ended up getting. But he committed to his off-season regiment, and by all accounts, he does look a step faster. How's that going to look when the regular season starts? I don't know. But Brock Boeser has impressed the coaching staff to this point, as has ELIAS Pettersson. And I don't know if you guys caught Adam Foote on the Ray and Dregs podcast. Of course, Dreger is going out there and plugging his own show. But when Foote was on the podcast, Dreg says this, Adam Foote took us through. And this was interesting, how he explained how players, focus on getting stronger and heavier and faster and all those great things in the offseason. But it doesn't always work. And especially when you're a lighter player, a thinner player, and you get heavy, the question becomes, can you carry that weight? And the explanation that Foote provided with this guy doing close to, 20 pull-ups and proving to everyone, hey, I can carry my weight? Again, it's got to translate into game action, but he's a bigger man. Now you can use that sort of verbiage on both ELIAS Pettersson and Brock Boeser, because both of these guys have gone through transformations in the summer. We saw with ELIAS Pettersson, he worked really hard. Everybody in the Canucks management was super impressed with how he was able to come into camp and just how physically better he looked compared to last season. Last year, he couldn't train properly. He got knee tendonitis, it messed him up for almost half the year, and with it being the first year of his new contract, it was just a terrible situation for everybody involved, Quinn Hughes and JT Miller included. But I also wanted to dive into this Brock Boeser stuff as well. Because with Dregs and Foote talking about how Boeser looks faster, he's stronger, he's more motivated, this really is all Canucks fans wanted to ask for. You know how many gosh darn videos we made last year talking about the idea of Brock Boeser getting traded or him leaving and saying that, oh yeah, he's going to want this amount of money, he's going to want $8.5 million, and it's like, oh, do you want to give $8.5 million to a guy like Brock Boeser, who isn't really that fast and is coming off of a down year? He had 40 goals in the season that the Canucks were first in the division, which was amazing, but he dipped the other year, so do you want to give that guy $8.5 million for declining? And then there was the entire thing that was going on about his trade value being questioned and Patrick Allvin disrespecting Brock to the media. Now Brock is re-signed in Vancouver to a $7.25 million AAV deal. It's a lot better than $8.5. And Brock Boeser was super, super happy to get the deal done. Vancouver was happy to get the deal done. They couldn't get Christian Dvorak signed, so they went with Brock Boeser. And ELIAS Pettersson said that he's happy that Brock came back. And now, thinking about how things went in the offseason where Brock Boeser trained hard, he worked hard, he's doing pull-ups every day, he's trying to not be Sam Bennett and actually find himself a way to get up on that pull-up bar. Now Brock is coming into games and he's looking speedier, he's scoring points in the preseason, he's going out there and potentially bringing himself back up to form like he was at a few years ago. And it's kind of crazy because Brock's 40-goal year, he wasn't even playing with ELIAS Pettersson. He was playing with JT Miller. And so seeing that combination work the magic that it worked 2 years ago, to seeing Brock struggle and not really find a place with Miller in 2025, to seeing him potentially go back to ELIAS Pettersson like we initially saw when the 649 line was all the rage in 2019-20, it's a pretty big wake-up call, and I think a lot of Vancouver Canucks fans have started to notice that Brock looks better. It's not just ELIAS Pettersson that's really focused on that off-season training and has gotten stronger, harder, faster. It looks like Brock is doing that too. And I do understand what Dregs is talking about here. Yeah, if ELIAS Pettersson gains 8 kilos or whatever it is that he gains, Quinn Hughes doesn't know the number. I don't either. If ELIAS Pettersson is able to gain all that muscle or fat or whatever it is that you want to say that he gained, he's got to be able to convert that into actual on-ice results. And so far, he's looked good. I mean, the power play one-time goal that we saw yesterday, when was the last time we saw Pettersson score one of those? Seriously, I feel like it's been years. But now, he's willing to take those shots. He's willing to get in the fight and look dynamic again and start to bring out that EP40 alien-like quality to his game again. We didn't see that at all last year. And so, with both of these guys putting in the work in the offseason to where it's both noted by Adam Foote and Darren Dreger on this show, I did think that this was a very good piece of info that we just have to go out there and acknowledge whilst Vancouver is in this sort of lull period and trying to figure out what the rest of the lineup looks like. At the very least, you know, the top 6, it's pretty solid. I'd say it's pretty defined with Filipino looking good in the preseason, Evander Kane potentially bringing some goals. Jake DeBrusk worked very well with Boeser and Pettersson yesterday. He could score a ton of goals just based off of the way he reads the play and how he reacts. You obviously want Connor Garland back in there, but if Jonathan Lekkerimäki is instead in the top 6, then watch out, see what that guy's capable of doing. But for Boeser and Petey, Brock and ELIAS, this ultimately is the bromance that I think a lot of Canucks fans wanted to see work itself out at least one more time before Brock left Vancouver, or at least before we thought Brock was going to leave Vancouver. Now it's here, and now Brock and Petey are both signed for the long haul. As long as Quinn Hughes is able to stay, I think that will be the icing on top. But with that in mind, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about these Vancouver Canucks notes from Darren Dreger and Adam Foote? I'll leave a link in the description to the video if you want to listen to Sakaris and Price. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the like button. If you didn't, then hit that dislike button. Comments are greatly appreciated because they help out with the algorithm in these trying times. So get involved in the conversation down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.